Hello, hope everyone's doing good today. Today we're going to be looking at the 5 pens which I use most often and lots of times keep inked up the most often. I nearly never get those pens out of rotation and my rationale for doing so. I also take the chance today to introduce this pen roll which I am using right now. A couple of videos ago, I introduced a pen roll which I bought, which is the Pilot Pen Symbol. This is the fabric version of, of a 5 pen or 6 pen pen roll, which is probably an alternative if you didn't like that that other pen case, because that one was made out of real leather. So I'm just going to be introducing my 5 pens and this pen case very briefly, plus a special pen which you'll see very soon. So looking at this pen case, as I mentioned earlier on, it's not made of man-made, it's not made of leather at all. It's actually made out of a fabric. Way that this pen roll gets attached is via this little strap, which has a full metal enclosure, which you do this to kind of secure the strap at the very end of rolling the pen roll. Pretty self-explanatory. And when I open up the pen roll, you notice that the design is pretty similar to the other pen roll which I showed a couple of videos ago, whereby it has a strap and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slots to put in your fountain pens. The main difference obviously is that the material is this is like a nylon of some sort, right? I hope it comes out on the video. So no leather or anything like that. And the nice perk for this pen roll is basically you get kind of an area down here where you can put maybe some spare inks or even a notepad or something like that. It has to be a pretty thin notepad though. I keep mine blank, right? And I'm just going to be going through, like I mentioned, the 5 pens which I normally keep inked up and the reasons why. I'll start from the very right, and that's actually the Loom. I've done a little bit. I've done a little bit of nib swapping for the Loom. I didn't show in the previous video, but basically the Loom's nib can be unscrewed. If you watched my earlier video of when I introduced the Loom in my quick look, the extra fine nib that was on the other pen, I've actually swapped it into this particular pen, just purely because I like the finish and the material that this gunmetal version of the Loom was made in. Somehow, it looks cool. Probably fits my personality in terms of how when I use a pen, when I pull a pen out, it looks nice, right? So I've swapped the extra fine nib. It was previously a medium nib, which I've moved to that other pen, the other silver Loom that I have. And it's very easy to do the nib swap. You just unscrew the nib unit and then just swap it as per usual. And one of the reasons why I did that is because, as some of you know who've been watching my videos, I'm actually big extra fine and fine nib fan. They work in pretty much most papers that you use, even the really lousy ones, with minimal feathering. Sometimes you still get bleed through, right? But I choose extra fine for that reason, plus the look of the writing. When you actually write in cursive, you get that very nice stroke, very nicely defined stroke, right? The other reason why I like the Loom and I've always kept it inked up is it's not too expensive. I believe you can pick this up for about $50 US. Still, quite a sizable amount of money, but the thing is that even if I lose this pen or if I scratch it or dent it or anything like that, I won't feel so bad. And if I, wanted to, I could easily replace this pen with another loom, right? So durability is one of the reasons why I always choose to have one of these pens inked up. And before I forget, this loom, as most of you know, has a Yowo or Jowo nib or Yowo nib, and these nibs are very, very reliable. They put up a nice line, which I'll show you later on, and generally dependable, decently wet nibs. The next pen, which I normally always keep inked up, and as COVID is kind of disappearing over the horizon, hopefully, and people, start getting back to work, and I start going back to, meet people in offices and so on. This is a very, very handy pen to kind of deploy. And I like the look of this pen. It's durable like the Loom. However, it has that quick deploy type of feel, and no prizes for guessing which nib. I have a couple of Vanishing point / capless pens, and I've chosen the extra fine to be my everyday kind of carry nib as well. One point which I didn't mention about the Loom is that I like the fact that both of these pens, they actually use a cartridge converter mechanism. Very easy to kind of clean out and kind of maintain. So these are the two pens which you'll see in the writing later on. The third pen might be a little bit of a surprise for those of you who have watched my channel for a while, in that I typically like longer pens and bigger pens. However, out of the Montblanc pens that I have, I actually prefer the smallest, one of the smallest Meisterstucks that I have, which is the Platinum 145, and or the Classique, right? The reason why I like this is because of the fact that, like the other two pens, it's a very durable pen, and basically it's a cartridge converter as well, easy to fill up and clean out. Not to say that the other Montblanc pens are difficult to kind of maintain, but I just like the discreetness of this small pen. Once I post it, which I'm beginning to do so more regularly for my pens now, I've kind of gotten used to having to post pens. I just kind of like the anonymity of this pen when you bring it out and use it, and the fact that for this pen, compared to the rest of them, this pen actually has a broad nib, and I normally ink it up with standard Montblanc black for more or less more serious uses of a fountain pen. For the fourth pen, it's no surprise. I nearly always keep in my everyday carry or EDC the 823. I nearly never clean out the ink chamber even. I just kind of keep on doing refills of blue-black. The ink that's always in this pen is always watermelon blue-black or mysterious blue. It's probably a con as well, because I'm not sure how long I've kept the ink in this pen. Could be many months already, and I kind of dread the day that I have to kind of do a full clean. However, the pen's still working fine without having to do a full clean. It still writes, every time. Probably jinxed my writing sample later on, but it normally writes every time with no problems. And it has a little bit of that, like I mentioned, for nearly all of the pens that I've shown so far, a pen that's not too expensive, a pen that kind of flies under the radar, a pen that's durable. I don't have to worry so much about, even though I love this pen a lot, even though if I happen to lose it, or or bump into it or damage it in some way, you know, pretty easy or relatively easy to replace. And for this particular pen, as you'll see later on, it's with a fine, which is my preferred nib for, you know, for this particular pen. And the last pen for my EDC or everyday carry is again a pen that's probably no surprise to most of you who've watched my channel. That's a Pelikan M800, and I have a couple of M800s. I have some which I've featured on the channel, and some which I've not featured yet. And I just go back to this green M800 as my favorite M800. The pure classic look of it. And I have all the Pelikan nibs with the exception of the double broads, the obliques, and so on. I just have most of the normal Pelikan M800 nibs, and I like the broader nibs. And as you see later on, I tend to ink up these pens with lighter colored inks. This particular one is inked up with Kujaku, which is a personal favorite pilot ink of mine. And out of all these pens, I mean, with the exception of the vacuum filler, I feel that the M800s or Pelikans in general have a very strong piston mechanism. Not to say that I don't trust the piston mechanisms for the other pens which I have, the Twisbees and so on, right? But I tend to feel that the piston mechanism for the Pelikans are a lot more robust and a lot more easier to kind of maintain and clean out. I have no basis for this, but this is just my feeling that this pen is a very robust pen. It will probably, you know, be working, you know, way before any of these other pens, if any of these pens start failing, right? And the last pen which I have in my pen roll today, which is my secret pen, which I wanted to do a preview review before I actually do the review in a future video. It's actually a pen which I've gotten for a while already, and that's the Nakaya portable writer. And this is the one with the red underneath the lacquer, rather than the other one, which was, I can't remember the exact name of it. The other version of this pen actually has a green under lacquer. So I am actually taking a very, very thorough look at this pen, writing with this pen, to kind of, so that I can actually give a really in-depth look in a future video. And this pen brings something to the table as well in terms of durability. The pen is made entirely of ebonite, with the exception of the clip and so on. I mean, even the section area is made out of ebonite. And as you all know, ebonite is a very inert, very durable material. And you know, it's a cartridge converter as well. So I mean, you know, probably that kind of gives you a hint in terms of my preferences for fountain pens. Pick a pen that's reliable, that's durable, more than picking a pen that's, you know, super expensive, super exclusive, which you don't really dare to use because you might break it, something like that. So I'm going to pull up a notepad and show you what these pens look like in action. Please excuse the light coming into the room. I'm pretty sure the colors won't turn out the way they actually look in more neutral light, right? But you just get an idea of the writing. It's not going to be a full-fledged writing sample. So I'll start with the loom. And this is the extra fine nib. Beautiful, smooth, very low feedback, although the feedback is there, and I kind of love the feeling of their nibs. In terms of their tuning, they are one of the best when it comes to actually tuning nibs, I feel. Very comfortable pen as well. However, you do have to post it. So the next pen is my trusty Vanishing point. Did the acronym down here, and this is also the extra fine. And you probably can hear the feedback on the paper for this particular pen. I mean, it has a very sharp nib, and you know, very, very practical for not the best paper out there. And these two pens both have dark blue or blue-black in them, just to emphasize the line that they produce. Then moving on to the Montblanc 145, very different nib. So this is using the Montblanc blue-black, and this is in broad. Okay, a little bit of writing fail. This is actually not using the black which I mentioned. This is actually using Safari, if I'm not wrong, by Diamine, and it's kind of acting up a little bit today. So moving on to the 823. Again, it's inked up with the Mysterious Blue by Waterman. Very nice feedbacky line, very practical for everyday writing. By the way, this was a fine. So this is the Pelikan M800, and it's in broad, and it's a beautiful nib, smooth, again with not the most feedback, but very, very beautiful nib and nib performance. Since I have it here, I'm just going to show you what the Nakaya looks like, if I can spell it correctly. And this is a medium nib. So I'll show this pen off in a future video, but sneak peek on what this pen looks like. So I hope you liked today's video. A little bit of my EDC pens and some of the inks which I put in them and the reasons why I choose, by the way, this is a Clairefontaine notebook, why I choose these pens in the first place. Hope you enjoyed the video today, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.